Welcome to Sedgemoor District Council's autumn meeting. During this public meeting, and the microphones will be distributed by the members of Democratic Service if you wish to speak. If I can just say a big thank you to all those councillors who've made the effort to get back from Yeovil this morning when the double hatters have had some of the county council meeting. And believe you me, it was a very interesting meeting. It certainly was. We learned the 3 L's are very much coming to apparent. Look, learn, and listen. And you pick up so much. You really, really do. I think it's one of them mornings when we've done that. But thank you to all those who made the effort to come back. Right. Any apologies, Leila? Please to announce.
I received apologies from Councillor Barber, Councillor Granter, Councillor Methley, Councillor Payne, and Councillor Scott.
Any other apologies we know? Councillor Betty. Brian? Councillor Smedley?
Tony Hayward can't make it. Councillor Bruce will be here imminently, and Councillor Redmond and Councillor Pearce are waiting to the end of the county meeting, but should also be here if that ever happens.
Right. Point taken. Thank you. Councillor Dunridge? Councillor Dunridge, right, okay. Thank you for that. Got a record of that, you, Leila? Yes? Or... Right. We understand. I just ask everybody to be patient and a little bit tolerant. It's just testing times for everyone, councillors, officers, and everyone. Just a little bit tolerant, and everything could be okay, I think. Good job the hot weather's gone away. Item number 2, minutes. To confirm the minutes of the council meetings held on the 30th of March and the 18th of May, 2022. Can I have a proposer to the correct record? Seconder, thank you, Joe. Thank you, Duncan. Thank you both very much. Item number 3, declarations of interest. Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 7.2, the enterprise. Notice the name was Ashford LLP in the minutes. There are personal interests on that.
Right, thank you very much, Councillor. Any other interest? Councillor Gilling. Sorry, Councillor Filmer.
Yeah, I'm the younger.
Councillor Filmer.
Was just a declaration. I understand I should declare on the LGR Joint Scrutiny Committee as a county councillor.
Right, thank you very much, Councillor Filmer. County Council. County Council. Yeah, just keep your hands up. Okay. Do it on block, shall we? Yeah, all happy with that. Right. And Councillor Smedley, yeah, thank you. Right. I'll just give Councillor Bruce a couple of minutes to get a glass of water and cool down a bit. Item number 4, Chairman's announcements. I haven't got too much to announce, but they're all very, very important things. I think they are. Firstly, I attended Nigel Taylor's funeral last Friday at Priddy. He was the ex-leader of Somerset County Council. In fact, he became a very close friend in the last 2 or 3 years, and a true gentleman. Secondly, I attended the Falklands 40th anniversary at King Square. Attended by a lot of veterans there and interested people, young people, and hear some of the veteran stories. It was quite moving. I won't go into that now because you all seem to be, or do you want me to just tell you a few details of 1 or 2 of the guys, the Marines, the sailor? No? No? I just might harp on a little bit if I start. I don't really want to do that, do I? But it was very, very worthwhile. I also attended the Bridgewater Town Council with Bridgewater Mayor Macon. Thank you very much for that invitation. We also had the Bridgewater to Keep Sedgemoor Tidy Awards a fortnight ago held here. And that was quite a success, I thought it was. I was a bit disappointed. A lot more councillors weren't here, but there you are. You can't have everything in life. But it did go down very, very well, even though we had a relatively small number. And it was well recognised everywhere, it really was. And thank you to all those people who attended. Councillor Slocum.
Chairman, I just wondered whether, you did say it in your thing, but I just wondered if we could congratulate the Bishop and Mayor lady is leaving, and just congratulate her because she's just become the Mayor of Bridgewater after many, many years of being a lady. I apologise for that first. Just wanted to comment.
Thank you very much. Congratulations on becoming mayor after a few years away. I've had a telling off the last 3 occasions. I always refer to Liz as mayor. I do apologise for that again. Okay. But many congratulations. And we've been to 2 or 3 events recently, and there've been a bit of success and a good bit of humour. Thanks to you, Alex, right, as well, right? All the very best to you both, anyhow. And on a much lighter note, I'm sure you'd like to hear about this. North Newton Cricket Club won the Baker Cup at Taunton last night. That's the first cup ever they won in their history. And it's nice to see that cup come to a little tiny village club rather than some of the bigger ones that have been really hogging it for the last few years. So congratulations to North Newton. I thought I'd mention that as president of the club.
Where's North Newton?
Was next door to North Petherton. It's still got its identity at the moment. Right, thank you for that. Right, item number 5. Does any public speaking time? There's nobody here today. Any public speaking? Right. Moving on, item number 6, the joint scrutiny terms of reference re Somerset County Council. I will now hand over to the leader to present the report and to propose recommendations.
I'm lost in the moment.
Don't worry. Look, we're all like that today. I feel like I'm in a TARDIS. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm happy to present the recommendations to you today. This is a Somerset County Council group, and thankfully they are having district council representation on it, and I'm happy to recommend to this council.
Have I got a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Slocum. Debate? No debate? No question? Nothing at all, right? So we'll go straight into a vote then. All those in favour? It looks unanimous. Unanimous. Thank you, Councillor. I won't ask against or abstention. It looks unanimous, yeah. Councillor Human.
Councillor Filmer.
Bob Filmer.
Assuming a lot of identities today, Chairman. I'm not Mr. Human, I'm not Mr. Gilling either. But anyway, the question I wanted to ask was, in terms of the recommendation that's been made, do we need to nominate, or is that coming up under a separate item?
No, certainly the Conservative group have nominated Councillor Crowe and Councillor Diego.
Thank you very much for that question, Councillor Filmer. Thank you, Leader. Thank you. Right. Item number 7. Recommendations from the Executive and other committees. Now moving to item 7.1. The Ecological Emergency Declaration. It's a recommendation from the Community Scrutiny Committee on the 30th of June 2022. And I will now hand over to Councillor Bruce to propose the recommendations.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. I'll try and be brief. Thank you very much, Chair. So in 2019, Sedgemoor declared a climate emergency. Councillor Keane's indicating she wants to say something.
I don't hear what you're saying, to be honest.
Councillor Keane is indicating that she'd like to say something.
Okay. Wait for debate. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. In 2019, Sedgemoor declared a climate emergency. Within this work, a Somerset Climate Action Network report in 2020 recommended also declaring an ecological emergency in Sedgemoor. Community scrutiny has been exploring the need for and the implications of this through the committee and the formation of a cross-party working group. In order to establish a local evidence base, an independent report from SERC, the Somerset Environmental Record Centre, was commissioned. The report does demonstrate the stark decline in ecology in Sedgemoor. There is a clear decline in the condition of what were designed to be natural, pristine habitats, a concerning decline in water quality, and a devastating threat from invasive species and human activity. The cross-party working group, alongside officers, put together
Don't worry, it's one of them days, look. You go on, go on.
Just.
Yes, go on.
Okay. So the cross-party working group alongside officers put together the declaration and recommendations before you today. The report from SERC is an independent piece of research which is of great value. It's impartial and demonstrates the immense gravity of the ecological decline in Sedgemoor. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the officers, SERC, members of the working group, including the portfolio holder, Councillor Keane, and the Community Scrutiny Committee as a whole for the work undertaken to reach this point. Another aspect of the recommendations from Community Scrutiny is to approve a joint ecological emergency vision and action plan with Somerset West Taunton. Resources from our joint working with Somerset West Taunton have enabled us to accompany the declaration with an ecological vision and action plan, taking the declaration and turning it into tangible actions going forward to hit the ground running today. The Climate Emergency Joint Consultation Panel is now well established and can be utilised to maximise opportunities from addressing both climate and ecological actions. The vision sets out our ambitions for nature recovery, and the action plan is the framework through which we can deliver these ambitions. This work builds on the nature-based actions listed within the Climate Emergency Action Plan, with a particular focus on nature recovery. The vision and action plan will embed ecological actions across work streams and will deliver ecological enhancement and protection across the 2 districts and beyond, whilst also setting a precedent and a template for collaboration which could be duplicated with ease across Somerset after vesting day. I have to say, as I did at Community Scrutiny, that it's with mixed emotions that I present these recommendations today. On the one hand, it does make me immensely sad that we are facing an ecological emergency, and I imagine that is a feeling that is shared by all of us. On the other hand, these recommendations are an important and positive step forward in addressing this emergency at a local level. I am pleased to say that the working group and Community Scrutiny Committee supported the declaration and recommendations unanimously, with an agreement that there is a need to act now. I hope that you will all join us in supporting the declaration and the need to act now by declaring an ecological emergency in Sedgemoor. Now, forgive me because I did arrive late today and I was going to liaise first. I'm not sure whether I need to read out the recommendations, but they are in the agenda pack. I don't think we need to go through them, but let me know if I do need to read through.
No, I think you're okay like you are, I think, yeah.
Okay,
Keep where you are, yeah.
thank
Okay.
you. And I understand that possibly, obviously, Councillor Keane wanted to say something as well, I think.
Oh, don't worry, your turn will come, okay? First of all, is that seconded? I got a seconder. Janet seconded. Thank you, Janet. Right. Now I hand over to the bed. You've obviously put a lot of work into this, Councillor Bruce. It really sounds like you really have. It's a very important issue, I think it is. Very important. Councillor Keane.
Thank you very much. It is a great pleasure to second this, and I would like to compliment and thank Councillor Bruce, because at all stages throughout the many months when this has been a matter of work in progress, she has always offered me and others the courtesy of inviting us to speak as and when we felt there was something to say. The scrutiny process has been extremely thorough, following the advice of Mr. Tate that we provide evidence. And in fact, the pack in front of you is so thorough and so detailed, with evidence at most stages, that it could be almost used as an exemplar to other authorities or any other body who wishes to follow the same pathway. I would also like to echo our thanks to our specialist support officers, Mrs. Blackwell from our council and Mrs. Churches from Somerset West and Taunton. Our appreciation for their dedication and the very excellent way that they have collated and presented all of the data. And again, I echo Councillor Bruce that I ask and hope that all our colleagues will support this recommendation. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Keane. Councillor McGinty.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to echo my thanks to the immense amount of work that's gone into this and the excellent document that's come out. I was wondering if jointly with Somerset West and Taunton, we could submit this through the process to become an example of best practice through the Local Government Association. And that would certainly be my wish.
Thank you very much, Leader. It's nice people can work together and arrive at the right conclusion very often. It really, really is. So I'm going to ask for a vote now then. All those in favour? Looks unanimous. Unanimous. Thank you very much for that, councillors. Thank you very much. I'm just glad I wasn't the chairman this morning. You're all giggling, but I'm being honest if I usually am. You're right. I started work 4:10 this morning to get to that meeting. Animals had to be fed, all winter rations because of the drought. Unbelievable. Yeah. There you go. Right. Item 7.2. The Gravity Enterprise Zone. The governance and implementation. I've got a recommendation from the leader of the council, Councillor McGinty.
Thank you, Chairman. You've got a number of recommendations that I'd like to put before the council. An immense amount of work has also gone into this to get us where we are today. It's not been the easiest of topics to get to this point, and thanks to Stuart and his team for doing so. I have no hesitation in recommending this to council.
I've got a second you. Thank you, Councillor Slocum. Any debate? Any questions? Big project. No, none at all. What a happy council you all are, isn't it? Lovely to see all this, eh? Right, I'm going to ask for a vote if I can now, please. All those in favour to show? Looks unanimous again.
No, it's not, Chairman.
Oh, sorry. Abstain or against? You're against. One against. Okay. Abstain. One abstention. We just spoke the record, right? Right. Item number 7.3, which is a code of conduct. I would now hand over to Councillor Will Human to propose the recommendations. I should be looking for a seconder as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. In the absence of our Chair, Julie Pay, I have pleasure in presenting recommendation to Council for the adoption of the LGA Model Code of Conduct. Our Code of Conduct hasn't been updated since 2012, and we saw this as a good opportunity to update the Code of Conduct and align it with the new Unitary Council. I'd like to thank Mrs. Wellman for her hard work in going through the entire Code of Conduct line by line and making little amendments here and there so that it made sense to our local authority. The recommendations have been passed through the committee unanimously after going through the entire document at a special meeting on the 4th of July. Thank you.
Have I got a seconder for Councillor Human?
Chairman.
Yes. Thank you, Polly. Now, any question, any debate? Nope. Could I just ask one? And March the 31st, we all finish the Sedgemoor District Councillors. Up until that date, we are all councillors. So that code of conduct applies up until the end of March. Right, okay. I just wonder why it was being sort of done like that. Okay. Right, clarified. Right.
Councillor Gill.
Councillor Gilling.
Has there been a unanimous
Microphone.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Excellent. And just wondering if there has been a unanimous approval and support for this particular item across the county, across all districts?
I'm going to ask. Melanie, step in there, please. Give a good answer. Yeah. Okay.
All of the monitoring officers across Somerset are recommending it to their councils. As you know, the county council has already adopted it and it is in the process of going through all of the district councils. I don't know whether they've all adopted it as yet, but the agreement was they would endeavour to adopt it by September.
Thank you. Councillor Human.
Yeah, I ought to also add that the other purpose for adopting the LGA now is to encourage all the parish councils, town councils, etc., to also adopt so that they align with the new unitary authority. So I'd ask councillors if they would encourage their parishes and towns to do the same.
Thank you very much, Councillor Human. Councillor Rodriguez.
Hello. Yeah, just a quick question to Melanie on this one, because there's quite a bit on this new code of conduct about the social media stuff, which wasn't in our previous one. And because of the a lot of added information, new information, can you just advise us as to what training you'll be giving or will be asking for us to take part in, especially on the social media side of things?
Absolutely. I will be organising code of conduct training, but what we'll focus on, as you say, is the new things in the code, not the things that you've already got in place at the moment. So the social media and the different terminology for the declaring of interest are the things that I'll focus on. Absolutely.
Thank you for that, Diego. Thank you for that, Melanie. Thank you very much. Right. Have a vote on that, if we could, please. All those in favour? Unanimous again. Yep. Right, next up, 7.4 on the agenda. It's Sedgemoor playing pitch strategy and built facility strategy and the adoption of. I'm going to pass over to Councillor Slocum to propose a recommendation. Sorry, I've got that wrong. Leader, I could pass over to the leader for propose a recommendation.
Chairman, in brief, happy to propose the adoption of the two strategies, playing pitch and built facilities.
Thank you very much, Leader. Have I got a seconder for that? Councillor Slocum, Councillor Healy. You've got two seconders, right? You're all keen today. Right. Any debate? Councillor Smedley.
I can't help thinking that this is such a detailed report with such a widespread impact and legacy potential for Sedgemoor that it could do with a bit more scrutiny. Is there a scope maybe for taking that in to a committee for more detailed investigation, whilst supporting the broad principles of it?
Thank you for that, Councillor Smedley. Leader.
I mean, if the scrutiny committee wished to have it before them to have a more in-depth look, then it's within their purview so to do. Certainly, it is a legacy for this council, certainly something that we want the greatest of publicity for, because it will hopefully secure our playing pitches and built facilities for many years to come in Sedgemoor.
Thank you for that, Leader. You happy with that, Councillor Smedley? Any other debate on this one? Yeah, well, I'm going to call for a vote if I could, please. All those in favour? We're all in favour, yep. It's just that small amendment. Come in, Brian will organise that one. Thank you both very, very much for that. Now, members, we come to executive question time. I'll start, if I could, please, the Leader of Council. Any questions? Councillor Smedley?
Would like to ask the Leader about the references he makes to the Harrogate conference, which I think we all recognise came at a very strange time for the events that happened shortly afterwards. He name-checks certainly 3 senior government members there who within a week were at each other's throats. One who was sacked by his boss, the other who took a position and then threatened his boss to change it, and then the other one who is now in the running for become the boss. Now, apparently you had a secret meeting with one of them. I'm just wondering if you had some more information, because what we'd all like to know about, I'm sure the Tory party knows it themselves, is what exactly levelling up will mean in the hereafter. Because Mr. Gove spent a lot of time at the convention telling us what it meant, and then he wasn't there anymore. So, as levelling up is such a key plank of the government's strategy, what further insights has the Leader got as to where that may be in a couple of months' time?
Thank you, Councillor Leader.
I must admit, I've got no further insights as to where it might be in a few months' time, but clearly levelling up will mean exactly the same as it does now. Whether it will be in mainstream politics or not, who knows? One thing that was pointed out on several occasions to most government ministers was that when you devolve power downwards, to allow people at a local level to make those decisions because they know what they're doing and their audience and the communities. There's no point in central government telling you what to do and how to make those decisions. So I think those members of government who were there, and one of them still is there, clearly got that message. You cannot level up from the top.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Smedley.
That's exactly the point, that the principle of levelling up, which has been portrayed as a north versus south thing. In fact, there's a great disparities within the south itself. You look at the Somerset area compared to the London area in terms of average wages per hour and so on. And the key thing that you mentioned there was the need for local authorities to be more in control of their destiny. That's not necessarily been a feature of the last 10 years when money for local government to be able to make those informed decisions has not really been there. In your conversation with Mr. Sunak, who looks like he may well be on top of the pile, did he not give you any inclination as to how he thinks this could really be achieved? Could this be reversed so that we don't have to go, into the casino economy that we've been going into to try and raise some money for the councils?
Thank you, Councillor Smedley. Leader, do you want to respond to that?
All I can say is really, like all senior politicians of all parties that were at the conference, they made the right noises to the audience that they were addressing, as in, you are the people that matter. Your views need to be taken into consideration. Whether that comes out of the mincer in the way we want, watch this space.
Thank you very much, Leader. Welcome, sorry, Councillor Smedley.
Obviously, you didn't. You may have caught one of the speeches by Lisa Nandy, who was there as well. I caught several speeches by her at several sub-meetings. She suggested, and has done this week again, that levelling up may well be dead now. Would you say that is possibly the case, or would you say there is a genuine commitment to it, and how might that manifest itself?
As far as I'm aware at the moment, it's still on the table, but we'll know when the government is reformed, the senior government reformed, whether and how much credence those comments that I've been given have.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you.
I share your pain.
That's it. Right. Welcome, Councillor Evans, who made the effort back as well, like Councillor Murphy as well. Yeah, welcome both. But Deputy Leader, the report there, Inward Investment and Growth, Councillor Jill Slocum. Any questions? Councillor Pearce?
Thank you, Chairman. My question's on gravity, and is Councillor Slocum able to give an update on occupier take-up for gravity, please?
Thank you ever so much. I was hoping you were going to ask other questions, but never mind. Yes, at the moment, obviously, we're still waiting we're still there, but we're nearly there. It's a big, obviously, you can imagine this is a transformational project, which is nearly at the end. But of course, there's no doubt about it. Some of the ministerial changes may hold things up slightly, but we don't think it will. We're hoping we're going forward. Apologies, that's not really a great answer. But all I can say to you is, as soon as I know, I will let you know. Okay, I promise.
Thank you, Councillor Slocum. Exec and Infrastructure and Travel, Councillor Mike's not well. His wife had COVID and he's taking safety precautions. Any questions regarding? Councillor Redmond.
I'll ask the question. It's more a comment more than anything else, but and perhaps one of the front bench over the other side might be. It's reference Hinkley Point B in the fact that obviously the beginning of next month it will stop producing. So that would mean that for the first time in many years there is no nuclear energy, no energy being produced from that site. I just wondered whether we were in the process of reaching out to both A and B station to ensure that we can benefit both economically and from all of the opportunities that are being generated by the current situation.
Thank you, Councillor Redmond. And would that be a question or a statement? Would anybody like to answer that one? Or
obviously, the decommissioning is a good thing. It shouldn't have been there in the first place in some people's opinions, but that's separate to the. But it's just obviously where we are now is the fact that there will be a great deal of work generated, and it's just making sure that we maximise it.
Going ahead. Okay. Take that.
Yeah.
Leader.
Decommissioning is seen as an opportunity, and we will be working with the on-site team in order to maximise the benefit for the local people.
Thank you for that, Leader. Right, moving on. Portfolio for Customers and Digital Delivery, Councillor Dudridge.
Thank you, Chairman. The question is around the rollout of new laptops. For some of us who are district and county councillors, I think the intention is to sort of amalgamate the information onto one laptop. Can you give an update as to how that's going, or if there are any delays on that, and if so, the reason why, please?
In a word, splendidly.
Microphone the other way. Oh, sorry. Pointed at you. In front of you. Technology.
A portfolio holder for microphones. Yeah, we have started on that work. I don't know if anybody's actually been joined together yet. No. But like I said, the rollout for the STC laptops has started, but the double hattered amongst us will be at the end of the queue so that we can be one device rather than two.
Is there a timescale for that?
Soon. I would say the laptop roll up for the rest of Sedgemoor is nearly complete. Probably another couple of weeks after that.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight, really, I think there might be an issue in terms of county think Sedgemoor are doing it and Sedgemoor think county are doing it. But if we get kicked out of our laptops at the end of July, the time frame really, we've got 10 days to sort it out. So I would really appreciate some news on that.
There is a plan in place. we shouldn't be kicked out before the end of July, not double hat.
Councillor McGinty?
No, I was going to say, the information I have is that the key fob life has been extended in order to accommodate both dual hatters but you're right, we need to get it sorted as to whose responsibility it is and get on with it.
Councillor Redmond, please. Thank you, Duncan.
Thank you, Chair. It's a question in relation to the garden waste problem that was generated. Not the garden waste that was the problem, it's the fact that people weren't able to renew their licenses or leaflets or whatever. I just an update really. Could you confirm that everything is tickety-boo now, working fine, and that there's no backlog?
There's a very small backlog, if I'm honest, but that was more to do, without apportioning blame, perhaps at the waste end of things rather than the Sedgemoor end of things. But we did have a huge amount of calls over that Sedgemoor did all dealt with very efficiently. But I think the backlog has been cleared now, and the problems down at Somerset Waste End, they seem to have been dealt with as well. Having said that, I'm probably tempted fate. We'll probably have another go round with it, but at the moment, the situation is looking a lot better.
Thank you, Councillor Doddridge. Thank you very much. I'll just say we're on laptops, actually. For double hatter, it's been a little bit confusing for a chap like myself. I've been going from one computer to another, and I'm not as much bright as Spark on a computer. You probably all know that, but I'm getting a lot better, so beware, right? And I just think it would make life a lot easier if the county had made, they give us a laptop, something you can handle in your hands, if I'm honest. It's so small. You know, a chap got big hands when you're doing this, and a little bit different. It's okay for the dainty ladies who can no trouble at all, but with chaps who do it a bit slow, like watching paint dry, they're a little bit different, all right? That's all I'm going to say. But I'm just going to congratulate on the Sedgemoor team again, who, when you pick up that phone, any trouble, and they can always help you out. But it's not quite so easy at Somerset, if I'm honest, right? It's not quite so easy. Councillor Smedley.
It is a bit of a problem, all these laptops. I would say the county laptop is quite good because you can drop it, and it'll break in two, and it won't be damaged. You can put it back together again. Have a go. But some of us, you're right, have got far too many of these laptops. I mean, I've now got 4. And I was wondering whether the Minister of Technology over there, on top of his portfolio, might know whether there's an extra grant for us to get just basically a bigger table at home would be useful.
Thank you for that bit of advice, Councillor Smedley. I always love a challenge. Right? Moving on now. Housing, Councillor Andrew Gilling. Any questions? Councillor Redmond.
Thank you, Chair. It's it's the question, and thank you, Councillor Gilling, for conveniently including Penley House in your report. I'm excited to see that the legal paperwork is proceeding. We are somewhat overdue this commencement of the site. The reason I'm raising it now is because I noticed the other day when I was informed by one of the local residents that the security cameras and the pods that we placed on the site, because some of the younger members of our community were quite happily to use the house as a playground. When you put the Daleks there that were identifying that when people were coming in, they were also using them as target practice. But when they were there and for the past few months, what's the benefit of them being there is the fact that our young people were deterred a little bit from attending that area and using it as a playground. The problem we have now, there's an indication that the starting on site will not be for a bit of time, but they've been removed. Now, hopefully the young people aren't aware of that, but perhaps if they're listening to our online meeting or listening back at the opportunity or read one of the press releases, they realise that the cameras are no longer there. It may be encouraging them back onto site. So the question is, why were they removed, and can they be put back until we have a presence on site? Because otherwise the residents in the area will be getting pieces of Penley House directed in their direction, which is why the reason they were put there in the first place.
Thank you, Councillor Redmond.
may be able to help in that case, Councillor Gilling, because the response I had from the officer dealing with it was they were costing us too much money, so we took them away.
Thank you, Councillor Gilling. Any other questions for Councillor Gilling? Councillor Evans.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your report, Councillor Gilling. I noted your paragraph on homes in Sedgemoor mentioning that there is an increase in demand for financial support with the cost of living crisis, and I was wondering whether we could quantify that increase in support that's required, please. A written response would be very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Gilling. Any other questions? Housing? No. Moving on then, commercial and asset management. Councillor Mark Healy. Brian Smedley, please. Councillor Brian Smedley.
The two aspects of Councillor Healy's portfolio, obviously we specifically support the Northgate project and have done all along, but the commercial investment section, we've raised concern in the past about the ethical nature of some of the investments, particularly the Elbit investment in Aztec West. And I did write to the board, Property Investment Board, at the time of the last meeting to see what you plan to do with that in the months, which are still some time away between the changeover to Somerset, and Somerset will inherit, I guess, this as part of it, and that will be then their concern. But in the meantime, it remains our concern, and we've been targeted in the past by activists who are concerned at the support for the weapons for the Israeli defence industry. And I think we should have been making a statement by now in terms of getting rid of it.
Councillor Healy.
Yeah, thank you. That's a question, very important question. I'd like to see if that's okay with yourself. I'm not finished.
Is that better? Thank you. The object of the exercise, don't turn it off in the first place, isn't it? So anyway, thank you for that question. What I'd like to do is bring Director Bamsey into this, because if I'm not wrong, I think a letter was sent out. So I'll hand it over to Doug, if I may.
Thank you, Councillor Healy. Councillor Smedley, we did give Property Investment Board duly considered your point last time round, and the consideration was that in the advance of a new council, which is very much close by now, this is very much part and parcel of what they will consider across the board for investment decisions in terms of what future decisions the Council of Somerset wants to make. And in doing that, we're very knowledgeable of any process of disposal. This is a major disposal. If there was to be one, or anything else would be a major consideration. So it felt very much from the Property Investment Board informal discussion that was the way to do it. And I believe, hopefully, that is a reply that you got from the Property Investment Board by myself. So that was the position taken by Property Investment Board in the formal response to your question you made. And I imagine that it still remains the same, but I'm sure leader or portfolio holder can easily confirm that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doug. Councillor Evans, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Am I on? Thank you. Delighted to see that we're at 75% occupancy on Northgate, but I would remind you that we need to be at 100% occupancy in order just to break even. What assurances can the portfolio holder give me that this won't be a liability going forwards on our local councils? Thank you.
Yeah, yes, and thank you for that question. As you said, it's quite a loaded question, as you cleverly pointed out. Yes, we are at 75% occupancy. Yes, there are talks going on in the background, and I think I can confirm that. But what I can't do, and I think you'll appreciate, is there's some very sensitive negotiations going on, and it would be foolhardy of me to actually say, yes, we've got A, B, and C moving in. We're at this stage at the moment. I don't feel that it's right and proper that I should divulge commercial sensitives at the moment, if you can accept that.
I can happily accept that, and I look forward to a slap-up meal in the final occupied restaurant when it opens successfully in October.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. You almost think you know the answer, don't you? Thank you for that question.
Councillor Redmond, Councillor Murphy's waiting. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Redmond's asked the one of the questions that I was going to look at, but when we had the conversation previously, and you were talking about the confidential element of some of the discussions, it was said that once an agreement has been made, then you would be letting us know. So it would appear that one of the restaurant units has been signed and is let. So the question one would be, are you able to share that information? And question two would be, do you have a time, the need to have the units filled is growing, and perhaps do you have a timetable of or an indication of where the actual the negotiations with the other retail bodies is going?
Thank you for those two questions as well. I'll try to answer them as honestly as I can. As you would appreciate, of course, yes, there are things happening in the background, but again, through legalities, I look at the legal aspects of things, I can't divulge and will not divulge that information until it's sort of sacrosanct and that goes forward. All I can say, and I hope the council will take this on board, things are looking very positive. I mean, as you can see, the actual building is moving on. I think it is the jewel in the crown at Sedgemoor. I'm sorry, Councillor Murphy, because I know you say I waffle now and again and lose the plot, but I don't. I think it's going forward. I think I'll quote the leader's remark actually. What sort of a legacy are we leaving in the future? A very good one for the new unitary authority.
Councillor Murphy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That was a very good story. I enjoyed your story this time. Always enjoy your stories. I look forward to them immensely. And I see that, and I congratulate you on the 75%, at least after all these few years that we've been going and spending so much money in investment in marketing and so on. At least I can see that's beginning to work. So I feel that's a real progress. You've only got one more to fill possibly, and then maybe one or two, and then you could be up to maximum. And I think you're going in the right direction. So congratulations on that story. The other story that I'm always puzzled about and always looking for an answer for, in the past, in the beginning, in the great beginning of the PIB, we were given charts on the division of retail, industrial, etc. And so we could see the progress that was being made, whether it was the valuations were good or not. And I do know that in the recent months, we've been advised that landlords or indeed owners should reduce the values because they were feeling there wasn't enough demand in the marketplace. But I noticed that you say, for example, things like, things are going well. Now, personally, I find that a very, very difficult story description. Things are going well with our investments means nothing to me because I can't analyze it. And for some strange reason, I understand that the county has developed software where all of the districts are putting their little charts into the software so they can see, the county can see overall what total value and what the divisions and the values are. But we don't seem to be able to get any of that from you. And every time I've asked you in the nicest possible way, and you're a very, very nice man, nice to talk to, you say, well, I'm still waiting for permission to do that. I'm still waiting for permission to give you the actual detail. And all I can say is it seems that you're trying to jump over this council and in the nicest possible way and give the details to county so they will have the details, but we can't even scrutinize them. Is there a reason for that? Because each time I talk to you, you say, well, there's confidential matters and so on, but there's nothing confidential about what we invest in. We should have a chart, and every person here should know exactly what's happening, what the returns are, what the values are, how we've done or how badly we've done. It's irrelevant whether it's good or bad, but it's important for these members here and all of us to be informed by you.
Yes, thank you for that, and I totally agree with you.
Question?
I totally agree with you. I'm going to hand over to, say, Director Bamsey shortly, but I think I owe you the courtesy of somewhat of an answer myself.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will, and I'll be totally honest with you. It may upset some people. My cup's always half full. I've been in business for over 30 years, and I know exactly over the last number of years how difficult it's been out in the marketplace through COVID, etc., post-COVID. And it's not a flippant remark I made about we're doing well. I personally consider we are doing well. I'm sure, Director Bamsey will enlighten you in a minute. But I'll repeat in the nicest possible way, as the nice chap you allude to me that I am, that a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is behind closed doors. But now I'm going to hand over to
Director Bams, if I may, to possibly give you an answer.
Thank you, Councillor Healy. I can't remember, Councillor Murphy, whether you're, sorry, via you, Chairman. The last Property Investment Board, which wasn't that many weeks ago, had a complete and full report on all the performance of the assets. And in doing that, was independently produced by our consultants, Montague Evans, and there was a full debate on that report. And a number of councillors, in addition to Property Investment Board, were in attendance and had that. We're more than happy to go through with you that report from Montague Evans. Montague Evans are experts employed by the council to ensure we have good property advice, and the summary of that report is in the, as I understand it, the portfolio holders report, and it was the NCP property that was the one that needed to be highlighted, because that was one we've had more challenges with, but otherwise they are performing well. The NCP one has gone from a lease into a management arrangement because of the work troubles that NCP had, but we are seeking another operator. And that was the discussion that we had at the Property Investment Board. But I say, more than happy, Councillor Murphy, to go through the report Montague Evans prepared for us, which will give you the details I think you're asking for.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Leader.
Yeah, I'd just say to all members, you do receive invitations to the Property Investment Board to come along, listen, and if you are that interested, then please do so. I would also say overall our investment portfolio is summarised in the Green Book that's published once a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. Communities and Wellbeing, now Councillor Janet King. Any questions? Councillor Bartlett.
Can you, oh yeah, it's working. It's about the Sunset Waste Partnership section. It's to do with 3 weekly bin collection. It's an extension from the Sunset Waste Partnership paragraph there. We support the 3 weekly bin collection, which has been going for a little while now. In fact, we could probably go to 4 weekly bin collection. But there do appear to be issues that I'm hearing about with the 3 weekly bin collection to do with waste overflowing into the street. Mainly, it appears to be from HMOs. Places where black bins are spilling onto the road, and mainly food waste, which hasn't been separated properly into recycling. This is obviously being, causing a disgusting mess. Rats, cats are going to get it. And in the hot weather recently, well, anyway, I'll leave that to your imagination. But obviously, this seems to be with HMOs who don't seem to be having adequate places in which to store rubbish. So this isn't being provided. Probably in private HMOs, privately rented, privately owned HMOs, I think, which is happening. It's a health hazard, as we know. It also causes an obstruction on the street. Wheelchairs, mobility scooters, prams have to go into the road to get by. So whilst Sedgemoor and some housing providers have given space for recycling, it seems to be that I think Granville House is one of them. It would appear that private landlords of HMOs are not doing this. I understand the council has a full list of HMOs to check against. So my question is, how is Sedgemoor working with the SWP to encourage and push private landlords into providing space for bins and recycling? I think that's it. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that. If you could, after council, give me some of the specific addresses where you have the concerns of vermin and other collections and inadequate collection.
Sorry, I interrupted. Okay, go on.
What's happening?
I interrupted councillor Keane, sorry.
Okay. Councillor Keane, carry on. Feel free to carry on.
If you could let me have outside of this meeting, the specific addresses where there is particular concern over vermin and perhaps inadequate bins for the HMOs, I will find an answer and send you a written reply because I believe, well, I know that there are other areas where a similar concern has been expressed, and it's very often a question of getting the bins because of the, I don't know the detail of the contractual arrangements between the Waste Partnership and Clean Surroundings. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Keane. Councillor Henry.
Thank you, Chair. In Burnham-on-Sea, we have a problem accruing there with bins, very similar, in a place called Cross Street and Pier Street more recently. I was in contact over the last couple of weeks with our own place called Clean Surrounds. They've been very, very helpful. They've been out to Cross Street already and cleaned up that mess, which was absolutely awful, very substantial. It was also attracting vermin. There's a problem developed now in Pier Street, and again, I spoke to Clean Surroundings. That situation has moved on. A lady called Sheena, who works for SDC, very helpful too. She called me and spoke to me yesterday, and she explained, which I didn't realise, the company called Biffa, who collects the bins and this kind of stuff and does all that, they're short of manpower. They don't have the drivers to accommodate to do what has to be done. So although they have the wagons for doing it, they don't have the actual drivers. It goes without saying, the rubbish accrues, it gets up, that brings in vermin, and in Burnham-on-Sea it brings in seagulls, it pulls it all over the roads. Not everywhere, by the way, just in a few isolated spots. But as far as I know, everything at this moment in time is in hand. And by that I mean, they are trying to get more drivers to get to drive the lorries, etc. And yes, we do have a very similar problem. So it's not isolated where you are, it's also in Burnham-on-Sea. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Henry. Thank you. Councillor Redmond, then Councillor Gilling.
Thank you,
Councillor
Chair.
Redmond first, please. Yeah.
I just add a bit to Councillor Bartlett's comments, but first of all, I'm sure Councillor Harvey didn't realise that a Freudian slip is staffing levels rather than manpower, because we have a lot of female workers that work for the business in the same levels, the same way as we do men. So it's staffing levels is always a good place to go at rather than manpower. Is it the responses in relation to some clarification that Councillor Bartlett made in relation to HMOs and concern over recycling? We had a conversation recently at our group meeting, which I think might be of helpful to you. Yes, there are areas where some waste is being accumulated, but the point I think that we were trying to get over in this issue is when it comes to HMOs, it would be important if we could write to their individual properties or property owners, if we could, to explain the benefits of recycling. Purely because, for example, Ashley Avenue in Bridgewater would be a good example where there are a large number of houses of multiple occupancy. However, there's still only one bin and one lot of recycling abilities. So it would be ways that we could work with the HMO owners to try and find a way to encourage recycling. The work that Homes in Sedgemoor has been doing has been really good in relation to some of our bigger flats and areas, providing bin storage and the ability to recycle. That's moving forward well, but the problem that we were trying to highlight, I think, was in relation to HMOs that, let's say, aren't run as smoothly as our own properties.
Thank you. And it's not only HMOs, actually, it is blocks of masonettes, where, again, there are frequently either inadequate bins or they do get stolen. But thank you very much for that, and I will follow that up.
Thank you, Councillor King. Question from Councillor Gilling. All right, Janet, hang fire a minute. Hang fire, Janet, hang fire. Don't jump the gun, just wait. Councillor Gilling.
The dreaded microphone custodian. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I can pick up on Councillor Redmond's point of view in that he is correct insofar that HMOs are managed and owned by individuals in some cases, but they are licensed. And I think there could be an education story here for those license holders where they're tenants or customers, if that's the right term to use, I'm never quite sure these days. Could we give them some training as to how to manage their recyclable waste and or waste of any sort, but HMOs particularly have through the planning system a licensing arrangement. If that gives you any help.
A leader of council, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I've been seeing always a bad thing, but perhaps we could work with Somerset Waste Partnership, identify areas in houses of multiple occupation and other places where things are not working particularly well, and see what we can do together rather than individually to bring about a better resolution.
Right. Sound a good idea, everyone? Yeah. Thank you for that, leader. Right. Councillor Bartlett.
Yeah, thank you. That was what I was kind of hoping you'd say. Just to kind of reiterate this about the waste, you need space. And I think this is, the crux of the matter is people, it's not just that people aren't recycling properly, but also you need space to recycle. So, this is the problem with HMOs, they simply don't have the space.
Thank you, Councillor Bartlett. Leader, please.
And I think the planning rules let us down as well in being able to perhaps insist on what we would like rather than what we get.
Quite an important issue. Got a lot of debate that going, really do. Big issue. Right. I'm just going to ask Councillor Keane to come to the front a minute to present a mug to Sedgemoor District Council. And these mugs were a present and were a special make at the Jubilee presentations. And Councillor Keane asked me if she could present it to me for safekeeping, and when Sedgemoor ends, which is March the 31st, which all the chains and everything else and regalia from Sedgemoor will go into the Taunton Museum. And also, for information, I think you all should be wary of that there's something been organised for March the 31st for all councillors. All the district councils have had a meeting together and something will be done. And up until that date, you're all official district councillors. So Councillor Keane, thank you very much.
These old China special mugs were specially for every child who came through. This will be a family heirloom. There won't be another celebration like this century. And as a token of the appreciation that Sedgemoor Council has given to our community, the trustees of this Sedgemoor Community Partnership, Moorland Hub, have asked if the chairman will accept this mug, perhaps in remembrance of us. And when our life expires, I couldn't open the attachment, but these are the photographs which I'm happy to pass round. It was such a lovely day all over the district. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. On behalf of Sedgemoor District Council, Councillor King, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
It might not be a bad idea, actually, if any of the surrounding villages had mugs made up for the Jubilee, that it may be something, maybe a good idea. I'm already thinking of North Petherton. Could we had nearly 1,000 mugs made and of the same sort of quality as this? Something it could be, when it all goes in. But don't forget, March the 31st. Put that date in your diary. Something will be happening on March the 31st. And don't forget, until then, you're all councillors. Right, moving on. Item number 9. Committee chairman reports. First, we'll start with the Development Committee. Councillor Bob Filmer, any questions? Reports, Bob? No. Right, licensing and general purposes. Councillor Polly Costello. Corporate Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Brian Smedley. Nope. Community Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Helly Bruce. Nope. Audit and Standards Committee Chairs Annual Report, Councillor Will Hillman. Annual report.
As this is the annual report put together by our chair, Julie Pay, I just think she would probably want to pass on our thanks to those involved in the committee, the committee members who worked very diligently all year, and Julie herself, who's been an excellent chairperson and led us very well, but also Steve Taylor and his team for their help, Melanie Wellman and her team, Alison Monteith, Angela Farmer, not forgetting the independent persons who've made great, been very active in their role in the meetings, and also the SWAP team who present all the risks and those kinds of things. And finally to Simon Tandy, who addresses any overdue risk actions. So thank you all.
Thank you for that, Councillor Human. Thank you very much. That's all the reports today then. Now we're moving on to item number 10. Members' question time. Questions with notice? No. Questions without notice? Right. Moving on again, item number 11. It's a Sedgemoor open space assessment and the Allerton Village design statement. I will now hand over to the Deputy Leader to present the report and to propose recommendations. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is the Sedgemoor Open Space Assessment, and I expect you've read the report. It's excellent. This document was prepared using established national guidance. It provides an audit of the quality and quantity, accessibility of all open spaces, because it's vitally important that our open spaces are used properly. So I just hope that you will approve this. There's 3 recommendations, and I hope that you will feel confident enough to approve these recommendations, please. Thank you.
Have I got a second of that, please? Thank you, Councillor King and Councillor. Yeah. Any debate, any questions? Councillor Riches.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to refer to the open space assessment, acknowledging the huge amount of work that's gone into this. It's a really important document, the really detailed analysis, and I'm sure that we can all support the recommendations. But bearing in mind that the limited time that we will have here in Sedgemoor and looking forward to the future, and particularly thinking about the aspirations within this document, which is going to become supplementary planning guidance. And there will be a number of situations where the aspirations within this report won't be achieved through planning, I would suggest, particularly in smaller communities, probably. Without being too parochial, I just give the example of the village I come from. We're in Shipham. We have no allotments, and I know you can say that I think one of the responsibilities of parish councils is to provide allotments, but that's quite difficult to do without funding. So we are more than the the distance which is given in the recommendations away from other communities where there could be allotments. And anyway, you don't really want to be going to your allotment with your with your wheelbarrows, bucket and spade over 1.2 kilometres anyway. So I would just like to make the point that I hope that colleagues who are county councillors who will be going into the unitary council will take forward this really important document in the future and look at other methods beyond planning of achieving a number of the aspirations, small funds perhaps, various ways in which these aspirations, which are important to well-being and particularly important in terms of climate change as well, and the ecological emergency that we've talked about, and looking at ways of supporting particularly the smaller communities to be able to take forward improvements to their open spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Richards.
Mr. Chair.
Councillor Slocum, would you wish to come back?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes, and this is the reason why this is done, to absolutely make sure that this goes forward Many policies and the good works that have done in Sedgemoor will go to the county. They will know because it's an immense amount of work by officers. This is, as you say, a massive amount of work on this, and that we must ensure that the new council will take these forward and meet the needs of individuals. So, and their areas and their communities. So you're absolutely right. This is why it's in place. This is why Sedgemoor is getting these things done. And it's excellent to them. And I want to thank personally the officers who worked so hard on this. But thank you very much for your question or your statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Slocum. Any more questions on this? Right, we go to the vote if we could now, please. All those in favour? Looks unanimous. Yep. What a good day we're having today. Right. Well done, Phil. Right, item number 12. The appointment of representatives to an outside body, namely Wendon Village Hall Trust and Wilstock Hub. Councillor McGinty to propose, please, recommendations.
Yeah, in proposing, perhaps I could ask Mr. Wellman to name the individuals that have been put forward, because for the life of me at the moment, I'm struggling to remember, but I know Mike Caswell was one.
Alan Bradford and Bill Revens and and Mike Solomon. Yeah.
Happy to move the nominations and they're happy to accept.
Yeah. Okay. So any questions, any debate on that? Sorry.
Seconder.
Have we got a seconder for that? Councillor Slocum, thank you. Any debate on this? Any questions? Right. All those in favour, then please show.